happen streaming here on YouTube as well. Going to take some of your questions here on a Monday afternoon here as we are talking about everything that's going on in the world of Survivor. Wherever you want to go, whatever you want to talk about, you can go ahead and call in. Oh, here's what you need to do to get on the show with me to talk about Survivor, to ask your questions. You're going to need a phone. And with the phone, you're going to go ahead and get the Fancred app. That's at fancred.com. And then there is going to be a button in the upper right corner. Somebody else stop me if it's in the if I have the wrong corner. But then what you want to do is you want to get in there, and then you want to join the fan line, and then go ahead and get on there with me. Okay. Tell people the fan line is in the green at the bottom right of the phone. That's what they've moved it since the last time we did a Fancred call. You can talk with Cam. He's producing this show today. If you want to get on the phone with me and talk about whatever you want, you're going to be live. We're going to be talking. You'll ask me questions. I can ask you questions. We got the chat also going on YouTube. Hey, Rob, I can't believe this season. What do you think of it? Not my favorite, Wheel Girl. Not my favorite. But we're getting through it. We're getting through it. All right. This is Calvin says, first live RHAP I've been able to watch in ages. Happy to be able to catch it. Well, look, I appreciate you being there with me. Henry from Ontario is on the fan line. So we'll go ahead and bring him on. Okay. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. So, yeah, it's not my favorite season of Survivor, but of course, I'm having fun with the listeners doing what we do. Here is Henry from Ontario, the number one all-time Survivor Fancred caller. He's here. Yes. He always has the Boston Rob rulebook. He's ready to go and talk about it. Henry, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Tomorrow I'm going home for winter break after first semester of college.
Yes. How'd the finals go? Good?
Good. I'm in film and TV production, so we don't really have exams. It's more final assignments.
Okay,
which is nice.
Good. Because there's no tests in film and TV broadcasting.
Yeah. So
just more podcasts.
Yeah. So I feel like the Survivor season, it's been either a 10 or a 0.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes back and forth.
A zero or a 1, as my wife likes to put it.
Yeah, it was a 0 after the merge. When Missy and Aaron went home, it went up to a 10 because I wanted Missy gone since she blindsided Chelsea.
Yeah. Oh, you were a big Chelsea guy.
Yeah. A year before this season, I was going through random Survivor audition videos, and I found one of Chelsea's old audition videos.
And you stan Chelsea.
Yeah, I found one of Chelsea's old audition videos before she got casted, which... And there were like a bunch of comments saying, you should apply again, you should get on. Yeah. And then she got on.
Okay. So it's an up and down season. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Tommy. Yeah. Let's talk about Tommy. Teaching time with Tommy.
Yeah. It seems pretty painfully obvious with the edit. He will probably win this season. If not, he will make it to the final 4. Is it pretty safe to assume that?
I mean, we're at 7 right now. I think it's, he has a very good shot to make it to the final 4, but I don't know if it's necessarily a foregone conclusion that he's going to win. I've seen people say, oh, he's definitely going to win, and he might win, but people felt that way about Rick Devens last season, and Rick Devens didn't win. So I do think that when you really assume this, like, I feel like that the editors know what you're assuming also, and that they might be pulling the rug out from under you. I'm not saying that you're necessarily he's definitely not going to win, but I do think that there's a non-zero chance that they, could be, screwing with you, and he's not going to win. So I would say I'm not 100% convinced, like some people, Tommy is the winner.
Because even in the merge episode where a bunch of people look bad, not only did Tommy not look so bad, but just little ways they were showing him, like they would edit to make it look like he was last to vote. And just the way they would cut the shots of him.
You feel like they're editing him to vote out of order?
Well, I know enough about Survivor that when you vote, it goes from left to right.
Hmm.
But sometimes they edit to show someone voting last who wasn't sitting at the
Oh,
far right,
okay.
if that
Maybe
makes sense.
I have not noticed that. You might be, paying closer attention to the the vote order than I am. I've never seen that before. I'll see if I can notice it in the next time I watch an episode.
Yeah, I think Tommy's probably going to win, even though he's not in my fantasy pool, which was a huge blunder on my part.
Yeah, yeah. He did seem like a pretty obvious call. Even the first lady of podcasting went with him as her winner pick.
Do you think Dean will make it to the final three? I personally think he'll make it to the final three, but he probably won't win. I don't think he can get the jury votes.
I mean, tell me a scenario where Dean wins. I mean, I couldn't come up with it.
Maybe
I thought his best
if
shot.
he's against
Yeah,
Laura.
I guess so. But that doesn't seem like that's what he wants to do with his plan. And I thought he was actually set up really well in this episode, where Elaine is like, "Hey, let's, it's me and you and Karishma and Nora." And that was a great for Dean. I
It
don't know what
was.
it was a great for Dean. Yeah, Nora's been good in the immunity challenges. Elaine has won immunity challenges, but I feel like that for Dean, it seemed like that was a group that he could potentially win some physical challenges against, but instead he takes like Nora. I feel like is really good at like endurance competitions, but if there's like a big Survivor obstacle course, which we tend to see at the end of these games, I feel like that Dean was really set up well there. I'll never understand why he didn't want to go with that group to potentially go down to the end, because I don't see a shot for Dean to win the game this way.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait until his exit press, whenever that comes out, to get an
Yes.
explanation.
Yes, hopefully we need Detective Dean to be able to untangle this for us. I understand that sometimes, and I talked this through on the podcast this weekend, where that the person who sort of ends up being like the forgotten person who sort of goes along with the bigger group, that person can win the game, but I'm just not seeing it here with Dean. Henry, who's getting voted out next?
Oh, geez. Well, Nora, I don't understand why they voted Karishma out over Nora, because that's what Rob and Sandra said. Like, Nora was
Hey,
considering
all this
betraying
talk just to
Tommy.
vote out Nora. Um,
Yeah.
oh, it was just vote out Karishma. I keep doing that this week. I can't help it. Yeah, I think that really where it came down to with Karishma was that Karishma was not playing anymore. She was not fooling around and saying like, okay, sure, I'll go with the big group. Karishma really put her foot down after Missy got voted out and was like, hey, I'm doing what I want. I'm not going to take it anymore. And everybody's like, all right, we have to get rid of Karishma. When she started like running around and trying to get the votes on Dan last week, I think that was, they were talking about, okay, should we split the vote between Elizabeth and Janet? And then once she was like really going to cause a ruckus, then that big group said, okay, Karishma has to go.
Yeah, in hindsight, I do believe it was a bad call for Karishma to vote Missy out over Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Missy would have wanted to go farther in the game with Karishma.
Yeah, she wanted to keep her around. She wanted to keep her as she felt like that she was a useful like vote to go along in her pocket, and nobody was feeling that way about Karishma. Karishma sort of like I keep saying that Karishma found her voice, but unfortunately she wasn't saying the things that anybody wanted her to be saying, and so it was great that she stood up for herself, but also she was not showing herself to be useful to the majority anymore at that point.
Are you looking forward to if Dean makes it to 6, when he plays his fake legacy
Yes,
advantage that he's convinced is real?
yes, that'll be
The
fun.
plan he made to make a copy, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and play that, it would be brilliant if his advantage was real.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it'll probably be as funny as when like Jay played a fake idol in Millennials vs. Gen X, or when Julie and Lauren played the fake idols that Devin's made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
be good. That'll be good. Okay. Henry, anything else going on?
College is really rough.
Yes. Okay. What is this freshman year for you?
Yep, my first semester, I lived with 5 roommates.
5 roommates. Okay. But how'd you do in school this semester?
Pretty good, not failing
You're not
anything.
failing anything. Okay. And then are you happy to be going home for the break?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to see certain friends. I am a little worried on one of my cats at home is a little sick.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, she's old and she's been urinating in the house.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
that's not
it's
good.
gotten pretty bad.
All right, Henry. Well, you get home safe for the holidays, and then take care of the cat, and then you got one semester behind you, and now everything after this is going to be you know exactly what's going on. You know how it's going to go, and
Yep.
you got this. Okay.
All right, thank you, Rob.
All right. Take care, Henry. All right. There you go. There's Henry from Ontario. Hope for the best for Henry's cat. Drew says, what was up with the vote this week? I really don't understand why the goats voted how they did. We can talk that through. Just want to remind people that the fan line is open if you want to get on, just like Henry did, and talk about wherever you want to go with this thing. You can go ahead and click the join the fan line on the Fancred app, fancred.com. Larry says, okay, Rob, now it's my turn. Invite me on. Larry, I don't invite you on. You got to invite yourself on, and then you can come on, Larry. So just get the Fancred app, get on there, and then we'll go ahead and talk it through. All right. So Drew wants to know, why did the goats not vote together? Well, it looked like they were going to, but then you have to ask Dean what happened. Why did Dean ultimately do what he did? And I think for Dean, it was purely a hey, I want to work with Tommy and Lauren. I think that he really wants to be the third with Tommy and Lauren, and I think he wants to move ahead with. Maybe he looks at it like, hey, if I get to 5 with Tommy and Lauren, and then also Dan and Janet, maybe he looks at Dan and Janet are a pair, and Tommy and Lauren are a pair. And when we get down to 5, the two pairs will go after each other, and then they will go ahead and want to keep me in the game. Potentially, I kind of look at it if it was that group got to 5. I wonder if they would vote out Janet at 5, because probably nobody wants Janet in the final 3, and then maybe you have Tommy, Lauren, Dan, and boy, Dan's getting real close to that final 3, isn't he? That's it's hard to exactly figure out how that's going to work. Then you vote out Janet at 5, and then you get down to the final 4. Somebody's winning the fire making challenge. I guess it's Tommy or Dean. I don't know how good Lauren is at making the fire. I have no idea what Dan's capability is at making the fire. And then who are they bringing to the end? Like, boy, Dan does seem like a good person to say, hey, oh yeah, let's automatically bring him. John in Massachusetts is on the fan line. Let's go ahead and patch him in. Okay. John in Massachusetts. Larry says, it's let's see. Okay. All right. John in Massachusetts. John, how are you? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Oh, man. Honestly, I did not expect what happened from last week's episode. Like, you talk about blowing games up left and right, trying to secure his own safety. Please, Nora, why? If you just want to keep it up, you're just one little gazelle in the Pride Land, just always down feeding, and you've got 6 other lions just waiting to pounce all over you and end your game. I do not see Nora make it to the finals at all.
All right, hold on, John. Slow down. I want to understand what you're saying here. Okay, so you're saying that Nora is a whiner.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? So Nora is whining about why are people trying to blow up her game?
No, she's a whiner and just trying to blow up everyone else's game.
Yeah. Well, why do you feel like that Nora is trying to blow up everybody else's game? I think that she was going to vote out Tommy, and then she didn't blow up anybody's game until she outed Elaine having the idol at the tribal council.
Because she's trying to secure her own safety.
See, I think that Nora, and to just to go back to, I don't know, are you familiar with my season in Survivor the Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay. See, Nora, I think felt like, hey, I'm a swing vote. And this is like the history of the person who ends up being in the middle on Survivor. You end up getting like a really big head where Nora's like, I could go this way, I could go this way. And she's like, this is really cool how I have so much power in this vote. And I think that Nora ended up getting like a really big head during this round of voting where she felt like that she might have been on the bottom with the bigger group. And I could go this way, I could go this way. And everybody wants me and I'm doing great. And I have this whole game sort of like, and Christy in my season ended up being in that same spot. And she ended up getting voted out in this spot because she overplayed her hand. And I think that's probably more where Nora ended up just getting a overinflated sense of where her spot was in the game this week.
Right, that is true. But like at the same time, all that power can go to your head, and you don't want to go on that crazy power trip.
Yeah, well, I think she was on a little bit of a power trip there and then ended up then coming crashing back down to earth at the tribal council when Dean ended up blowing up her whole spot. But now Nora, I think, is going to try to spin it like, hey, we got this, guys. Okay, now we obviously know what to do. Vote out Dean, vote out Elaine. We got this. It's original vote Kai to the end. I do wonder if Nora can not get voted out at this next round of voting. Do you think that she has a shot to make it past 7 if she doesn't win immunity?
Oh, absolutely not. I
just
don't see it.
You know, the tempting thing is going to be for that group. It's like, boy, we're really going to leave Elaine in the game and not vote out, and vote out Nora here. I mean, isn't Nora harmless? Like, where is she going?
Well, that's actually a good point.
I mean, if you were that group, I think that now at 7, I think you'd be concerned about like, well, could Nora and Dean and Elaine all vote together? But not really. That's not going to happen. Maybe if you're Tom, like it seemed like in the previews that they're trying to make us think that Tommy and Lauren might go after each other. But maybe if you're Tommy and Lauren, are you worried about knocking Janet out at some point? I just think Elaine is such a juicy target here at 7 to knock her out of the game. I mean, why not deal with Elaine? I mean, she can find an idol. She's a popular person with the jury. I think you got to go after Elaine.
I mean, that is true, but it would have to depend what side of the numbers do you want to be on. Would you want to stay with like your original tribe or try and flip and go with the other side?
If you're who?
Like anyone.
Well, I think that Elaine to me is very dangerous, especially that they're all from the Vokai tribe except for Dean. If Elaine gets to the end, I think Elaine wins if Elaine can get to the final 3 because she has people from her original tribe. And again, maybe Missy is a bitter juror and maybe Elizabeth is too, and maybe potentially Aaron of, even though Elaine didn't vote against Aaron, but maybe he's in with Missy and Elizabeth and they end up wanting to vote against the person from their original group. But I feel like that Elaine is probably set up decently dope in the final tribal council, but maybe not because there's also Jack who never played with Elaine, and Kelly who really had no relationship with Elaine, and Jamal who really had no relationship with Elaine. So and maybe they're not that worried about Elaine.
That's true.
It's hard. We just there's so much that we don't are just coloring in the line. In talking about this, and this is sort of like my bigger view with Survivor. There's so much going on with 20 people and twists and islands, and I feel like that we used to be able to more reasonably color in the gaps, but now the gaps are so huge that it's very hard to podcast about the show from a strategic point and then be able to really have any sort of a sense of what's going on.
Well, yeah. But what about Lauren's game? What's your view on that?
I mean, I think that she's been very good. For me, it's very hard to tell, who people would give credit to if she sits at the end with Tommy. I don't think she has any plans or designs to get rid of Tommy. I feel like if Tommy wasn't in the picture, I feel like I'd be feeling very differently about Lauren's game. But I just haven't seen, that they talked about her in the last episode that she has Tommy wrapped around her finger, and it seemed like that people were gunning for her to some degree. But other than that, I feel like that I don't know a ton about her strategically.
I mean, that is true. You have Laura and Tommy who are as one. But if both of them end up in the finals, Tommy's going to win over Lauren either way.
Well, we don't know for sure. We don't know because it seemed like that certainly Lauren seemed like that she had a better relationship with Missy, and then does that bring Elizabeth? And so we don't know necessarily where how like the Jack and Kelly and Jamal ultimately, again, there's a lot of jury votes. We don't know necessarily how it's going to shake out. That it looks to us that Tommy is set up better, but we're also seeing the edit, and Tommy's had a better edit than Lauren. So it really is hard to sort of like split that one down the middle of Tommy and Lauren.
I mean, if we're talking about the jury, I still don't get why they started the jury early. Usually in the 20-person season, you merge at 13, then do a 10-person jury. Why would they want to start it?
They like a big jury. I think they like having that, live audience at these tribal councils to end up sort of like having these big reactions and going crazy when something happens.
Oh, well, that's a good point.
They like it. They like that. Okay. John, this was so nice to talk to you. Anything else you want to say?
Honestly, this was a very fun season for me to watch. Like every tribal council, I always record my reactions. And
you do?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
See, they need you on the jury. You're like Rob and Sandra.
Yeah.
What was the biggest reaction that you had at the tribal council?
Yeah.
What was your biggest reaction that you had this season?
Honestly, oh boy, it would have to be a toss-up between Jason's vote out and Missy's vote out. One of those two. It just had my jaw just like I was just speechless.
Okay, well, you're like a jury member that we're gonna have to go and see what your reactions are, and then what I want to get that your reaction synced up with what's happening on the tribal council, like all on one screen. So basically, it's like I have Rob and Sandra in one booth, and then I've got you in another, and then everybody's watching the tribal council, and we're getting the reactions.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, John. Thank you so much. Okay, take care, buddy.
Hey, thank you so much, man.
All right, take care. Bye. All right. There you go. Wow, John is so animated. I bet he has good reactions to everything that's going on in the tribal council. Adam from, is it Regina, Canada, is on the fan line. Let's talk to Adam. Of course, we have so many great Canadian listeners of Rob's podcast and the call in on the Fancred line. Adam, how are you?
How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing great. Do I pronounce that right? Regina?
Yeah, the city that rhymes with fun, they say.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, Adam. Yes, you're on fire. Yeah. What's going on? I'm
doing great, Rob. Again, I'm a moderator of the chats and YouTube and things like that. I don't have a whole lot to say. I really.
How have the chats been? I feel like if this was a Big Brother season, the chat would have been. We would have had to shut it down months ago.
Yeah, it was horrible. Big Brother was really crazy. Survivor is way more tame.
Yes. Okay. So what's going on?
Rob, I missed the wand off.
I know.
I missed Jaws. I
know. I do too. You're not alone. I've heard that from a lot of people, and I have I hear what people are saying. People miss it, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of levity for people, and I think that that's important to have. And what I would say on this is that let me give Josh space and see what he wants to do for next season, but I really would like it to come back for season 40. I feel like that I think it's an important part of the week, And I know I hear what you're saying. I know a lot of people want it. I want to give Josh space. I want to
I get it.
be
I get it.
a good
I
friend
understand
to Josh, but I also understand that people want to have it back.
that.
So
Pat's tweaks back all right. Like, I mean,
yeah.
it's classic.
I know there's so many great ones, and I've thought about this a lot, and I want to talk to Josh, and I want to give him his space, but we'll talk. Well, I think I feel very strongly. I think it needs to come back for season 40.
Yeah, you do such great work, Rob, all over the place. Like your podcast about Survivor and other things, and the wrap ups otherwise, and the RHAP I've already said is my favorite of all time.
Yes, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. And it's my great joy that I get to do it. So thank you very much.
That stuff about the Jewish Akiva trying to explain to you all that type of stuff. I think it's gold. The way you
I think I agree. I think it would be very good. Akiva doesn't seem to want to do that. He would prefer to have me eat a bunch of different Jewish foods and then talk about that. And I feel like that's less interesting than hearing about different traditions or things that I might not know, or stories I might not know about. I feel like that seems to me like it's a better podcast.
Yeah, I think both would be funny.
Yeah, well, if the food is delicious, then I feel like they're like, that was so yummy. Oh my God, it was sweet and salty, and I had no idea. What was that again? Oh, I got to get the recipe. I mean, what's the fun other than if he's just gonna here's something that's really gross. Well, that doesn't sound fun to me either.
No, I don't think it's gross food. It's just different.
Then what's the point? Well,
yeah, I get you on the food thing. I get you on the food thing.
What do I know? What do I know about podcasts?
No, you're totally right on the food thing. I think maybe traditions might be funnier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would be interesting. There's many things that I don't know, but boy. I just would love to, some of that sweet Hanukkah action is really, every day I'm putting up stepping over different fallen decorations and hearing the same Christmas music over and over again.
Yeah, not a lot with Hanukkah. There's a dreidel and a menorah. That's about it.
Sounds so nice. Sounds I'm so tempted.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like, I don't know.
I already have a ton of Met stuff. It would be perfect. I have a splash of orange, maybe.
Yeah,
it would be great. All right, my next life.
Yeah, as just going back to Survivor, because that's what you guys are talking about. It's really unfortunate with that merge episode what it did to the overall season, because it really was a good season. If you can and they could have edited it out. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's of two minds of it happened and they shouldn't sweep it under the rug. But also it's a shame for the players, who have this season that, has this cloud over it, because of the actions of, one person compounded by the actions of other people. It's just very regrettable that the whole thing had to happen.
Any idea that maybe they don't want to send Dan to jury because they don't feel like it's right to have Kelly and Dan together?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like that.
I don't even know.
It played. I think it played bigger to us as opposed to what it seems like that to the players that are out there. It's something that happened. Kelly might feel the way that she feels, but I feel like to the rest of the cast at large, it does not seem like it's something that is guiding the way that they're acting the rest of the way. I think that they, in the 39 days of the season, I think they had no idea what the aftershock of what went on at the merge played for the rest of us. Yeah, I just think that's okay, that's something that came up, but Kelly is feeling the way that she's feeling, but for the people that are out there, I just think that it's sort of like in the rearview mirror.
It never really made any notice on Ponderosa videos either, right? They're not talking about that.
They're not talking about that, but who knows if it's because they really weren't talking about it at the Ponderosa, or this is just edited to show us one view of like everybody being like in really good spirits coming out of the game. So it's hard to take a lot from the Ponderosa. It's not like the Big Brother live feeds where we're watching them 24 hours a day. Nobody was talking about this at Ponderosa.
Yeah.
So
wonderful, Rob.
Yeah.
Again, great job. You're the best.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate hearing from you, Adam.
Awesome.
Okay. Take care. Okay. All right. Zach from Georgia is on the line. And if you want to get in, go ahead and jump on the Fancred app and we'll get you on here on the fan line talking about this. Okay. Okay. Zach, Georgia. Zach, how are you?
Hey, Rob. I was starting to think I would never see you again on this app.
Oh, that's where I pop back in. But there were some, there were some issues with the on the tech side, and also some weeks that I didn't think that it was necessarily the best timing to do Survivor Q&A like this. But here we are. We're back.
Are you familiar with the Journey to the West? That story?
No.
It's a Chinese fable.
Is it the Oregon Trail?
No, it's a Chinese fable about like a little monkey man, and he has like this magic staff, a pole, if you will, that can grow to infinite length. You could give me that pole, and I would not want to touch some of the stuff that has been brought up with this season. So I can understand that. What I do want to talk about is
yes. It's not a Festivus pole, is it?
No, not yet.
Okay.
All right. What I do want to talk about is Rob and Sandra. It seems to me like somewhere around episode 2 of this season, they kind of ran out of ideas. And like when you're just like naturally good at something, or have you ever known someone who's naturally good at something and they don't really know
I've
how
known
to tell
people.
You? Yeah. They don't know how to tell you how to be good at it. They're just good at it themselves. Do you think Rob and Sandra might be in that situation where they're just so naturally good at Survivor that they don't know how to teach it to other people?
It's possible. I think that they sort of are in a literal and figurative box in terms of this season. I think that they sort of been pigeonholed into, okay, well, you guys are producing the segment here of Island of the Idols, and Coach brought it up on the podcast early on that he felt like that it was sort of not authentic, where, hey, you're going to play a game and then you're going to play to have a test and you're going to have a chance to win an idol. And I do wonder if that would have been, and certainly there have been, it's given us some funny moments in terms of the show, but I think that's all it's done. I don't think that there's been a person who has taken the lesson from the Jedi Master. Like there's nothing like where Luke Skywalker learns things from Yoda that he puts into practice, later in his journey. And Danielson learns things from Mr. Miyagi that, he learns moves that ends up paying off for him. I don't think in practice there ends up being any sort of like, we saw Elaine say like, hey, Rob and Sandra told me to, you got to take the leap. I'm going to misplay my idol tonight. We have not seen dividends from the players in terms of the game. And it's not like, wow, the gameplay this season has been off the charts. Rob and Sandra have these guys playing at an 11 this season. It's just like they've brought fun and levity to the show, but
which was necessary.
I don't think. Yeah. Yes. And so that's been appreciated. People liked it when Nora had to be the caller. People liked it when Lauren and Tommy are telling everybody to eat pancakes. So that there were it was funny when Vince was learning how to crawl underneath a stick. So it was fun, but I do wonder, like, if the premise of the season, which I think was to have, Rob and Sandra are in your corner, and then it's like, you have a chance to really pick their brain. maybe we wouldn't have had like, comedy gold, and it would have been maybe scary of like, hey, are we going to get anything from, when, Kelly's on the Island of the Idols. Are we going to get anything with her? Who knows? But like, let them have a conversation. Let her ask her questions that she wants to ask about what's going on in the game and how she should play her position. And maybe that would have actually, if you were really trying to coach the players, I feel like it would have looked more like, okay, you have like, an hour with Rob and Sandra. What do you want to ask them?
Yeah. It would have, at the very least, been a lot less of a waste of time than it feels like now.
Yeah, I mean, to their credit, they haven't really jammed it in there. I think there's now 4 weeks where there were no Rob and Sandra segments, where I don't think we didn't have one at the swap, at the merge, the loved ones visit, and maybe one other time. I don't remember. The episode where we had like the 5 and 5 or 5 and 6 tribal council. So I mean, out of the 12 nights of the show, there's been 4 weeks where they didn't end up doing it. So I think they sort of at least were conscious of, okay, we don't have enough time in the show to be able to do a challenge and also have Rob and Sandra. So I think that we've at least been lucky with that. So I don't know if it's been like a total waste of time. I think that's probably a little too critical, but it just has not been. Yeah.
My main complaint is the lack of Sandra content. It's Rob Island. I don't want Rob Island. I got Rob Island on season 22. I want more messy Sandra in my life. She's criminally underused.
Yes. And I think that really comes from the produced nature of the segments. Sandra is not a host. And I mean this with, love and light. I am not knocking Sandra. Rob, he has hosted shows. Rob has done hosting. You can give him his lines and he will, hit the lines of what you need him to say and set up the rules of the game. That's not Sandra. Sandra, reacts to stuff. And I think that Sandra's best stuff has come either when she gives like confessional talking about like what had happened, or in the booth reacting to stuff. But that's Sandra. So, Sandra is not going to be able to, host a segment for you. That's not what she does. So in sort of like the pre-packaged nature of what the Island of the Idols has been, I think it's been a bad way to use Sandra.
True. Sandra is the world's best like reactor. When something happens, she's the one you go to, basically.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like if Sandra like was like a Tata the Bushman of like, hey, you win Sandra, she's coming to your tribe, and then just have her walk around and interact with everybody. You'll get gold from Sandra. That would be, a great way to use her. But to sort of like have her in like, Rob has scripted lines, you can't script Sandra.
How do you think they're gonna send this thing off? Because they have to do something at the end.
Island of the Idols?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that what they're going to do is, my prediction has been, because it's day 32. I can't believe that it's still a secret at this point. I think that they will say when they get down to the final four, all right, you guys are going to get ready, that somebody's making the fire tonight. You're going to spend the day on the Island of the Idols. And then I think that Rob and Sandra will join the final four and talk about the what's coming up. And then I think that they probably will be, out in the open at the final tribal council. Whether or not they will vote, I could see them ask a question or two at the final tribal council.
What do you think the odds are that somebody is still going to be in the game at that point that doesn't know they're there yet?
Good. I think because Dan and Dean and Tommy, I think all have not gone there. So, yeah, I think that there's a very, unless those three go out, boom, boom, boom. I think all the women have been to the Island of the Idols.
Is it weird that I kind of hope that happens?
Not weird. I don't think you're alone.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, we've got one more week and then the finale. So, do you think they're going to do it this week? Like I said, I really think that they're almost like completely out of things to do with those guys.
Do what? Do the reveal?
No, do I think you're gonna do you think they're gonna do Robin Sandra like at all this week, or is this gonna be another?
Oh yeah, I do think I don't think they would skip. They would do back-to-back weeks without Robin Sandra.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm in it this far, so I guess I'm in it till the end.
Yeah. Do you have somebody that you're pulling for?
Sandra.
Okay. Look,
Janet,
I know.
If not Janet, if not Sandra. Nora, if not Janet, and everybody else. I guess Elaine. Janet, Nora, Elaine. Those are my power rankings. Those are what my heart wants. Dean for maximum comedy option. That would be amazing.
I think Nora's maximum comedy, but I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know we were all like, hey, like whatever they do, as long as they don't bring in Robin Sandra, like I think a lot of people would be okay with it at this point.
Yeah, just bring in Robin Sandra or Chris Underwood and Rick Devens. You know, all those jokes that have already been made on Reddit and everything else.
If Sandra came in off the Island of the Idols to win this season. Who says no?
Top 3 season.
Who's complaining?
Top 3 season immediately.
Because you know what? Because that Chris Underwood, I feel like, and I'm not his publicist, but I feel like that he never, embraced it enough of like, that people are like, well, you didn't play enough games. I was like, well, I played enough to win. Sandra, if you tried to say to Sandra, if Sandra came in on day 38 to win this season, I mean, try to, drag Sandra for coming in and playing one day and winning.
Yeah, try to tell Sandra what she did or didn't do.
Yeah, she would really, you'd come around on it.
Personally, I'm kind of hoping that they burn the heads, like the giant heads. I'm hoping that they set them on fire at the end of the season.
No, they gotta like they're filled with like C4. And then there's like they do the fire making, and then the fire ends up like going like burning like a Mission Impossible wick that goes all the way up to the heads, and then the person who lights the fire ends up then igniting.
It would be a fitting end to this season in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Zach, thank you for the call. Okay.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Okay, you got it. All right, take care. All right, Peter from Chicago is on the line. Let's go ahead and bring on Peter in Chicago. As we're talking here on Fancred. If you want to get in on the fan line, click the button. Here he is.
Hey.
Here's Peter. Peter, how are you?
I'm good. I'm little since I can't put any headphones. I don't know if I'll be able to hear you at home unless I'm completely.
Yeah. Okay, so your audio is a little shaky. Ask your question, and then I'll do my best to answer it. Okay.
I'm actually talking here 2 days about Renee. You talked about
okay.
So I'll give you a little bit of break from that. I haven't listened to the yesterday's. I'm curious. How do I get to the Constitution? I want to help.
How do you get into the what? Oh, you want to help with the RHAP Constitution? Well, I happen to have a copy right here. It's 7 pages long. Send a tweet to at Kiev26 and then ask for the best way to get involved. I think it should be its own show. It's 10 articles deep here on the Rob and Akiva Have a Constitution. Okay, what was the second question?
I started listening to your podcast because of fantasy football.
Yes.
Way back
how so?
When Matt Berry and he talked about you and.
Oh yes, a great Matthew.
So
yes.
I started my own fantasy survivor league that runs a lot like fantasy survivor. And I always try to throw it in my email to you guys. And hopefully, how can I try and entice you to join my fantasy survivor league?
Fantasy Survivor League. It's hard for me to do fantasy survivors because I have so many other things to think about with the episode week after week. Send it. I'll take a look. I can't promise I'm going to do it every week, but I do like to see how these things
Jeremy
work.
Collins this close to join, but obviously busy people.
Yeah. Well, he's in my fantasy
Yeah.
football league, and that he's in the Survivor Fantasy Football League. He made the playoffs. Jeremy Collins takes fantasy football very seriously.
I had my bye week this week, so
And
I'm out of my playoff.
yeah, I had my bye weeks too this week, so I wasn't really paying too close of attention to it. But I'll give you the update on Jeremy Collins real quick in the Survivor Fantasy Football League. I believe he was taking on was it Brett LaBelle? Let me see. Yes. We got smoked by Team Soulless Gingers. Are advancing. That Jeremy Collins, I think, forgot to show up. Oh, the real Jeremy Collins, what happened?
Who
What
is
happened?
going to win your league?
He need. Well, I think it's so the final four. It looks like is going to be myself, maybe Shane Powers, and then both Brett LaBelle and Chris Hammonds. Brett LaBelle, Chris Hammonds in the semifinals next week.
Sounds good.
Real. Throw your bracket buster out there. All right. Peter, thank you so much for the call.
Problem.
Okay. You got it. Okay. All right. Jack in New York is on the line. Wow. Can't believe Brett LaBelle's made it to the final four here. This is insane. He had a lights out. Wait, does Brett LaBelle even know what he's doing? Okay. Yes.
Hi.
Jack.
Um,
Jack, what's going on?
So my question is, there have been such badass women winners throughout throughout all of Survivor, and I believe right now we're in our longest drought of a woman winner since I believe Aris, Yule, Earl, and then Todd.
Yeah, you are right.
Why do you think that is? Because with everything going on, how just about the Me Too movement on this season and do with casting or because the women take down the guys in the end and then
So I would say that this stretch with 4 seasons in a row of without a woman winner potentially is going to be 5 based on what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks has also coincided with the Final Four fire making twist and this idea of, hey, if somebody's a provider, they need to be able to, really, be, we got to protect them a little bit. And hey, and it's not just that men have won the game these last couple seasons. If you look at the men who have gone on to win it's men who also win immunities. Like if I was out there, I don't think I'd be one of the odds-on favorites to, win the game at this point. If you want to win Survivor right now, you got to find idols. You got to know how to make a fire. You got to be able to win challenges. And for most of the show's history, none of those things were really the case. It really was like, yeah, you want to be a survivalist. You want to know how to win challenges, but that's not who's going to win the game. And we saw over the course of the show's history, lots of different people were able to win the game. And I think that the show really prided itself on that in the beginning, where if you go down the line of the, first 10 seasons, you have people from, all different walks of life, older, younger, men, women, Vesepia, Sandra, it was, so you saw winners that were, from, all different shapes and sizes in the first 10 seasons of the show. And then I think that, I have not really, spent a lot of time thinking about like, well, what happened between when we went from Aris to Yule to Earl and to Todd. Sometimes it could be, a flip of a coin. It's possible that it was just, random, that it was, 4 in a row. This doesn't feel like it's random. And this feels like that there were changes that were made to the game to make the show be more quote unquote exciting, that have sort of like shifted it in this direction. Yeah.
Well, I hope we see either this season or next season, a really cool takedown.
Yeah, and I also think that in terms of like what you're talking about, like a takedown, like I do think that also a fundamental part of Survivor was that, and reality TV, especially Big Brother, is also the same, where there's a power structure on Survivor where the people that are on the bottom can flip the whole thing over and then be on the top. And that's one of the things that are really exciting about these games. And so then I think that's why we, root for a lot of these underdogs, and there's sort of like a structure in place that's not necessarily similar to the structure of the real world. It's very rare for, the underdogs to be able to flip, everything over, and now they're, in charge of stuff. But reality TV does give us this, world where those things can happen. And it's always really exciting when it does. But that's what I think one of the things that was so frustrating about this week's episode, where it looked like, oh, the people on the bottom are going to flip this whole thing over, and then they're going to be on the top. And then you have to see the people that were in power eat crow. Did not work out that way because of Dean. I do think that the show is more conscious of the fact that, like, and I think that I give credit really a lot to Angelina, who I think was very important in like calling out a lot of stuff. And I think that Survivor, and I know that, like, for a lot of the viewers, people say, hey, I don't want to hear about social issues, but I think that Survivor in the 30s, I think, has been very lucky to have a lot of women who are outspoken, who have spoken about women's issues, and a lot of minorities who have spoken out about how there are things about the game that are unfair. And I do think that while it's hard to fix things overnight, I do feel like the show wants to be better with these things. And like, I know it's probably frustrating that it has not fixed itself quick enough, but I do think that in terms of this man-woman issue, in terms of winning the game, I do think that the show really needs to take a look at that Final Four fire making. I do think that is a big issue that they need to take a look at. In terms of like a lot of the challenges now, I think are a lot of like endurance based challenges that I do think actually favor women. One thing is I think that they got to look at that Final Four fire making.
Yeah, this is so cool. I definitely think one of the most badass wins was when that person
Jack.
I definitely thought that one of the most badass wins was when that person Jenna took down those two guys a long time ago. I don't know who they are though.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome. All right, Jack, thank you so much for the call. Okay, take care. Bye. All right, there you go. All right, I'm not sure if we have anybody else on the fan line ready to go. I'll take another call if somebody else is there. For anybody else, so I guess I'll start to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. Appreciate it. Jumping on here on a Monday as we get ready for the final regular episode of Survivor coming up on Wednesday. And then we will have the Survivor season finale only a week from Wednesday. So we're here now in the home stretch, like final 10 days of the Survivor season. Thanks to everybody over at Fancred for the opportunity to chat some more with everybody about everything that's going on. And thanks so much to the callers. We'll be back with more Survivor Know-It-Alls coming up on Wednesday night after the episode. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.